Hello and welcome to Books Up Close. My name's Chris Lloyd. I'm sorry for not making any videos in a very long time. If you are following me in other places, you might know that I've started a little spin-off project, which is a podcast version of Books Up Close. So that has been taking up a lot of my time and attention since the start of the year. So apologies for not making videos, but I'm going to try and mix some of these in. If you've not listened to the podcast yet, please do go subscribe. You can find it on most podcast platforms. It's just called Books Up Close. And in that show, I interview authors and we close read a passage together of their work. So like part of their novel or memoir or one of their poems. And we talk together about how the piece was written, how it's put together, what I think is happening at the level of language and form, all of the things you're used to me talking about in these review videos. But this time I'm talking to the author themselves about that work. And then in the second half of the episode, we talk a little bit about their writing process and book recommendations and things like that. So if you are interested in this kind of content, please go subscribe to the podcast. You can find it anywhere, leave some feedback. That'll be really helpful. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start trying to go back to my old videos of shorter little reviews of things that I'm reading. And I will release them simultaneously on here, on YouTube, and then I will just release the audio in the podcast feed. So if you want to see me talking about the book, you can watch them here. If you'd rather just listen, you can get them in the feed there. So it's kind of an easier way for you to get both bits of content, and I'll try and do those alternating amongst the episodes. I can't promise that I'll do tons, but I'm going to do my best. And what better way to start, really, than to review Stag Dance by Torrey Peters, which is a book I have been longing for such a long time, since Torrey Peters released Detransition Baby, which I think I reviewed on here. I'll link it up the top. I've been obsessed with her writing and her thinking. Like, she's really incredible. I think she's wonderful. In every interview, she's really amazing. I highly recommend a couple of interviews. She does one with the Lab Radio Hour podcast. I would go listen to that. And I would also listen to the one she does with Tracy Thomas on the Stacks, both of which are really good. And both of them kind of informed my reading after I'd finished the book. So Stag Dance is, well, depends on where you live in the world, it's called different things, but they are 4 stories, maybe novellas, maybe long short stories, maybe it doesn't really matter what we call them. They're longer than most short stories, but, well, some of them are. It doesn't really matter. Whatever they are, there's 4 of them, and they are utterly joyous. All 4 in this book, and also, can we please talk about how beautiful this version is, and the cover is fantastic. All 4, as Peters describes in an interview with Tracy Thomas in that show, they talk about genre and gender and how those two things relate. And all 4 of the stories are kind of in a particular genre mode and explore questions of gender, questions of sexuality, questions of identity in very different ways. So the first one is called Infect Your Friends and Loved Ones, which Torrey Peters wrote a long time ago, way before Detransition Baby. And it's a kind of post-apocalyptic story, and it kind of jumps around in time. It's really, really good. It reminded me also of Carmen Maria Machado's short story Inventory, which is in, what's the book called? Your Body and Other Parties, whatever that book is called. Or Her Body and Other Parties, I forget. And it really reminds me of that story in that they're both using the apocalyptic form, that kind of genre convention, but doing really, really interesting things with it. And in this version, in this new world, everyone has to inject hormones because of this virus that's kind of raging around. And so it kind of takes this kind of commonplace for trans people and trans identity about kind of hormone injection and taking, and it means that everyone in the planet has to do it. And it's a really interesting, funny commentary on what gender is, how it operates, how it works in the world. I mean, it really opens up all those questions that, you know, the anti-trans lot hate about kind of gender confirmation surgery and gender confirmation processes, right? How many cisgender people have hair transplants or boob jobs or kind of injections of various kinds? any number of procedures that alter your sense of self and the sense of how you present your gender. Like, this is what trans people are doing, and this is what the story is kind of interested in, but it's doing it in the form of this post-apocalyptic story, which is like tense and engaging and really readable and funny. The second story is called The Chaser, and it's set at like a boarding school. It's very much like a teen romance kind of story. Very different from the first one when you kind of jump to that one. Again, it's really beautiful. The ending was really shocking, actually. It gets quite violent in one particular moment that really had me surprised. I didn't know we were going there. And again, it's a really beautiful story about desire, about gender and femininity and all kinds of secrets. The third part of the book, which is the longest story, which you probably would call a novella because it's quite long, is called Stag Dance. It's the eponymous title story, and it is so good. It is set in like the 19th century, and it's about a group of loggers in the Pacific Northwest, and it's written in this old logging language that Torrey Peters found with this dictionary. So they use all these different kinds of words, so it takes you a while to get into part of it. And the story kind of leads up to this stag dance where all the men, they're kind of in the depths of winter logging these trees before the kind of Forest Service realise they're doing it. And they have this stag dance where all the men get together, and a few of the men become women for the evening, right? And dress as women and kind of act as the person to be wooed. And our main character is someone who is huge and ugly, is how he's kind of described, and really kind of just grotesque, but he wants to be the woman in this scenario, and the story kind of follows them. There's also loads of other stuff going on. It is really joyous in some ways. It's really shocking in other ways. It's beautifully done. The ending actually is so unbelievably moving. I was really taken aback because at times it kind of feels like just kind of historical fiction or kind of fun historical fiction. It's thinking through questions of gender, of course, and history and masculinity and all these things. And then Torrey Peters isn't just that kind of writer. She will take you there emotionally, and it really... Freddie's gonna knock the camera over. It really blew me away. The ending really took me by surprise, and the emotional punch was massive. And then the fourth story is called The Masker, which is kind of like a horror kind of thriller story set in Las Vegas, and is about a young cross-dresser who goes to this convention in Las Vegas and is torn between these two people. One, this older trans woman who's kind of trying to take the protagonist under her wing, and is like, oh, you are just like a trans girl, like this is going to happen for you, this is what you need to do, like really trying to be there for her. And then this other character who's a guy who dresses up in this kind of leather bodysuit, this kind of woman suit, if you like, and he's kind of creepy, but is also doing it for different reasons, for kind of sexual reasons, but also other things. And the main character is kind of drawn between these two poles, and it's tense, it's weird, it's Vegas, so all those kind of Vegas stories are weird, and it is just very readable, and the ending is also quite tense. And really, I don't know, across these four different tales, Torrey Peters is telling us a couple of things to me. One is that she's interested in form more than anything, really. From Detransition Baby to this, she's interested in what form can do and what literary form is able to do in thinking about gender, in thinking about performativity, in thinking about the kind of life stories we tell about ourselves and about others. And she's just more than anything interested in like good storytelling. Like, call her a trans writer if you like, call her a writer of kind of trans identity, just call her a writer, because she knows how to write a sentence. She knows how to tell a story. You will fly through this book, I promise you. It is really enjoyable, really fun, but also thought-provoking. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. If you've read it, if you've read other Torrey Peters stuff, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. If you're watching this on YouTube, add comments below and like this video. If you're listening on the podcast, please get in touch. There's a Microsoft form that you can fill out that's linked in the show notes, or you can get in contact via Instagram or any of the other modes. I would love to hear what you think about this book and the other things that you're reading right now. So until the next episode, which might be a review, it might be an interview with someone. Thank you for watching and listening, and take care of yourselves. Keep reading.